Good morning, everyone. It's Nick Petro from the National Weather Service in Raleigh, and this is a special briefing here as it relates to Ian's impacts on central North Carolina later this week and weekend. So thank you for joining. This, of course, is obviously a special webinar, and we'll be doing these webinars every day, every 11:30 every morning, and we'll be recording these and posting these on our YouTube page until the storm. We'll be doing one of these every day until Ian's impacts depart at least central North Carolina. So thanks for joining, and thanks to those who are listening and watching after the fact here on our YouTube and social media channels. So let's kind of jump right into what's currently happening. And there is, I'll zoom in here, there's Ian, there's the satellite, visible satellite and radar. Obviously, Ian is emerging off the western side, northwest coast there of Cuba, and certainly it's a big deal. It's a big storm, and there's a couple other features I want to point out. First, though, let me just quick show wind gusts so you can see. Obviously, wind gusts in those bands are becoming are quite strong. I want to point out, though, a couple things here as it relates to us here in central North Carolina. Look at that, that's some beautiful weather. Those are temperatures I'm showing right now. And more importantly, well, probably just as importantly, dew points. Dew point is obviously an indicator of moisture, how dry or how humid it is. And look how we have dew points in the upper 30s. Basically what that means is it's comfortable out there. There's low humidity. It's very dry. And look at the clear skies. The only clouds we have are east of I-95, and those are the high wispy cirrus kind that are streaming northward from this blow off from Ian. And interestingly, look at as we head south. And let me grab my drawing tools. Look at south as you head south toward Florida, and look at this boundary, if you will, this discontinuity between 54 dew point here and 73 just north of Tampa. Why is that change? Because there's a cold front in here, right? There's a cold front that pushed through, and that's why it's so dry up here, and it's so moist south of the front and warm, right? So that's what's going on. We've got a front that connects into this cyclone. So what's going to happen is, as this whole system moves north, remember, which way does wind go around low pressure system? Counterclockwise. So as the winds kind of come around counterclockwise, and eventually this whole system moves north, then what will happen is moisture, the flow on the east side of the storm will increase and send moisture back up over top of this boundary towards central North Carolina beginning on Friday. So we're gonna get into some wet weather before the center of the storm even gets anywhere even close to us, thanks to this frontal system in a very moist southeast flow that's going to run over top of that boundary and set us up for some pretty persistent rains starting as early as Friday. So until we get there, though, we've got some nice weather here to deal with. What's today? Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday should be very similar to today. Nice weather. Obviously, Thursday it'll start clouding up late in the day, and then by Friday we'll start to see some of that rain moving in. So let me show you. I rarely do this in terms of showing model data. I generally stay away from this as a briefing tool, but let me go ahead and just do it this time since I don't have my slides prepared. And this model right here is our GFS model, and I'm gonna basically start here at the current time, and I'm gonna move forward in time. And this is what the GFS model does. It basically makes the landfall on the west coast of Florida, and then just gradually slows it down. Look how it just stalls there over the Tampa Bay region, and then gradually we see this band of rain here moving onshore and lifting north across North Carolina. This time frame right here is Friday afternoon. That's Friday afternoon. And notice also, see these lines going we have high pressure here over PA and New York. We have low pressure, obviously, Ian, and these lines of pressure in between the two when they get packed together, see how closely they are stacked together down here by the low? When the closer these lines are together, the windier it is. Okay, so underneath the high, there's hardly any lines packed together. That means real calm, very light winds. But here under the storm, look at these lines, how closely packed together. That's very windy. Well, there's like quite a bit of packing of these lines here over North Carolina, just because of the difference between the L and the H. And so that means it's going to be pretty breezy, if not maybe, low end windy at times. It may be as early as Friday and continuing into Saturday. I'm not going to say, like, I'm not going to give a value at this time, but certainly, definitely winds getting up into the 20 mile per hour to 30 mile per hour maybe by Friday. But notice, watch how as I go forward in time, this is Friday evening, Friday late evening, and then overnight into Saturday, early Saturday morning. The center of the low is still down in Florida, but look how wet it is. And that is because, as I pointed out earlier, that's because of this frontal system here that's connected to the storm. And there's all this flow from the southeast, and all this flow from the southeast east of the storm is pushing all this moisture up into the Carolinas. And that's going to set the stage for a very wet period, well distanced from the center of Ian. So that's sort of the setup. And notice how that's again early Saturday morning, and then that wet pattern continues throughout the day Saturday. This is daytime Saturday. Notice those lines are still pretty tightly packed over North Carolina. So it'll be breezy to maybe low end windy at times. The center of Ian, the remnants, if you will, or south of Atlanta still, but we're wet. We're just in a wet pattern here. This is Saturday evening, Saturday night, and it just basically we start to see the system sort of evolving from tropical to non-tropical, and it almost becomes like a little bit of a line of thunderstorms here, perhaps by Sunday morning, and then the low just gradually meanders across the Carolinas here on Monday. So we end up kind of in a wet pattern, unsettled pattern, right through the entire weekend. Let me back up now, with Saturday being the wettest period of time. This right here, let me back up. This is the daytime Saturday. So Saturday morning, Saturday midday, Saturday late afternoon, Saturday evening, Saturday night, and then finally the system tries to push eastward on Sunday and could give at least the eastern half of the state a pretty decent amount of rain. So the other thing I want to mention, let me back up here. Again, this time frame right here is Saturday afternoon, and there's going to be a little bit of a boundary in here as well. There's going to be a little bit of a kind of a coastal front, and there might even be a little bit of another boundary right in the Piedmont, sort of like a wedge front. This is almost like a cold air damming type scenario. So as the winds flow across these boundaries, that could set the stage for some very shallow rotating cells. And remember, when you're on the east side of a tropical system, that's the favorable side for tornadoes. So I do want to highlight the fact that there could be some isolated mini supercells and possible tornadoes and these are very short-lived, very brief, generally weak spin-ups that are typical with tropical systems. That potential will be mainly confined to Saturday. So let me back up here again. So this is Saturday midday. So again, let me back up even more. This is Friday, so Friday evening. So essentially that first band of rain with the front moves in on Friday, and then Saturday it becomes a little more steady, and then basically tries to push east on Sunday with just lingering showers into Monday. All right, so that's the American model. The European model, let's take a quick look at that. So again, same weather fields, just a different model, the European model this time. And you can see that, let me go forward in time, same scenario. There's that frontal band that's right along the Carolina coast. But notice the time, it's a little bit earlier. It's actually about 12 hours earlier. So the European model still brings that first band of rain across, but it brings it across during the daytime Friday. And then on Saturday, it becomes a little bit more scattered in nature. Whereas this is midday, late day Saturday, where it's not a steady rain like the GFS American model was showing. It's more scattered out. And then just notice here, this would be Sunday morning, this would be Sunday afternoon, this would be Sunday evening. And it's almost like the storm, according to the European model, just kind of breaks down and almost, almost completely dissipates on Sunday. The bottom line is that the European model would suggest lesser rain amounts, would be somewhere in the 2 to maybe 3-inch rain variety, whereas the GFS model is more in the way of a 3 to 5-inch rain variety. So, sorry about that, phone ring in there. So anyway, I just wanted to point those out because the similarities in the models is they both show either mid or late day Friday, that first band of rain moving in, and then a little bit more steady Friday late night into Saturday morning, and then Saturday during the daytime either fairly steady or maybe even becoming more scattered if the European model verifies. And then both models generally agree with just a sort of a scattered rain event on Sunday as the low just gradually meanders across the Carolinas. So that said, what do we expect in terms of rainfall totals? Let's look at these rainfall maps here, courtesy of the Weather Prediction Center, which obviously is a National Weather Service national center. And we generally use this guidance as our official rainfall forecast. So let's just take it day by day. So today, Tuesday, dry, Wednesday, dry, Thursday, maybe some rain starting to show up just to our south. I think most of Thursday for central North Carolina is going to be dry. Friday, though, we really see that band coming up from the south really start to materialize in some decent rainfall amounts on Friday. And then here's Saturday. So the consensus, if you took the sort of the consensus of those two models I showed you, we're basically painting Saturday as the steadier day of rain with the heaviest rain amounts. And then this would be Sunday, where the low is still meandering across the area with the heaviest rain shifting to the north. And then by Monday, still even some scattered showers around, but not nearly as intense. So when you add up 7 days worth of rainfall, this is our official forecast. And the way I'll characterize this is, a pretty broad brush of, anywhere from 3 to 7 inches. Okay, so the most likely outcome is that between Friday and Sunday, just about everybody's going to see 3 inches of rain. Some places will see, 4 or 5 inches of rain. In a few places, we'll see as much as 7 inches of rain, depending on where those heavier bands set up and put down rain. Okay, so almost everybody will see 3 inches of rain. Some people will see 5 inches of rain, and in few places will see 7. Okay, and obviously the places that get the more rain will have the greater potential for flash flooding. And that's what this excessive rain outlook product shows. The areas that have the greatest risk for flash flooding. So obviously today, day 1, obviously it's Florida. Day 2, it's still Florida. Day 3, Thursday into Friday, it's still Florida and moving up the southeast coast. Day 4, this would be basically Friday into Friday night, is indicating a flash flood risk basically across the southern half of North Carolina. And then day 5 would be Saturday during the daytime, and Saturday night, it's basically all of North Carolina is in the slight risk for flash flooding. Okay, so the takeaway here is that, and this is where I'll kind of go back to showing the slides that we issued earlier today. And the main takeaway is that, essentially, this is a rain event for central North Carolina. This is primarily a rain and flash flood concern for central North Carolina. Yes, there could be some wind. I would say, 25, 30 mile per hour, maybe a few 35 mile per hour wind gusts will be possible anytime Friday through Saturday, thanks to that, what we call the tight pressure gradient, the squeeze between the high to the north and the low to the south. Okay, so, when you have, 3, 4 inches of rain, that makes the ground soggy. Possibly a 35-mile-per-hour wind gust could knock a few trees down, particularly weakened trees, dead trees, trees that are already leaning over. Okay, the other concern for this event are tornadoes, isolated tornadoes, particularly south and east of Raleigh. More likely on Friday night into Saturday is when we think the worst of the tornado threat will be. Again, Friday night and Saturday. And then, I will mention river flooding. I don't think that's going to be a big deal. We have that in the sort of early next week time frame. Basically, flooding still being a concern due to runoff. River flooding is possible on the main stem rivers, like, for instance, the Neuse, the Cape Fear, possibly even the Yadkin, and all the other tributaries, Tar. But we think any flooding that would happen would be low-end river flooding, mainly because it's been a fairly, dry summer. We just came out of drought. So the river system, stream flows are low. We could probably handle a decent amount of rainfall. So it will take, if we only got 3 inches of rain, there wouldn't be any river flooding. If we get 5 inches of rain, maybe 7 inches of rain, it's possible that, the Neuse, could see, minor river flooding, as well as many of the other main stem rivers. It would take double-digit rainfall amounts for us to see anything worse than minor river flooding, okay? And right now, it doesn't seem like this is a 10-inch or more rainfall event, okay? We just don't think those amounts are possible with this event. This seems like this will be a general 3 to 7 inch rain event. And as long as it stays in that 3 to 7 inch range, river flooding early next week shouldn't be that bad, if any at all. The flooding we do think is possible is more of the flash flood nature, the flooding of streams and creeks in urban areas. That will definitely be possible, especially Friday night and Saturday. That's when we think the flash flooding threat will be the greatest. Okay, so basically to summarize, rain begins to move in on Friday from south to north. It's breezy, if not low end, windy at times. Friday night, Saturday. Again, with wet ground, there could be a few trees that fall down, especially the weak trees. 3 to 7 inches of rain. Most places will see 3 inches of rain. Only a few places will see 7, and I can't predict right now who those lucky spots are that are going to be, or unlucky, that see 7. Rain of that magnitude, especially comes down hard, could produce flash flooding. And then river flooding early next week, if there is any at all, would be very minor. Okay, so that's a summary of what we expect to happen. And everything I just conveyed here, I will be putting into a fresh, brand new PowerPoint slide set, and I'll be emailing those out early this afternoon. So I know this briefing was a little unconventional because I don't have the usual slides, but I will get those slides together and email those out to everybody. You'll see that in your inbox. You'll see it posted to our webpage here in the next hour or two. Okay, so that is our briefing as it relates to Ian's impacts for Central North Carolina. As I mentioned, we'll do this again every day at 11:30 a.m. Same time, same place, same link you used to join this one. You could use to join the rest. They'll be recorded, uploaded to YouTube, we'll do them at least through Saturday, maybe Sunday, and of course we'll have our regularly scheduled webinar on Monday. All the webinars will be at 11:30. So that concludes this Tuesday's briefing for Central North Carolina as it relates to Ian.